I want to say a word of thanks really to several. First, let me say thank you to you to make the effort and in the midst of the aftermath of what could have been a really difficult time. We were blessed and spared, kind of the same as we were after Hurricane Harvey. And in the last few hours, it turned and went north, but this one turned and went south, and gratefully into a relatively little populated area. So I'm not belittling the damage that was done, but it could have been so much worse. And so I thank you for being here. And as I think about the fact that we are here this morning in reduced light, and if you haven't noticed yet, I'll just point it out so it'll be on your mind through the rest of our time together. We don't have air conditioning. I don't know if you've noticed that or not. As I think about it, I think how 75, 80, 100 years ago, people living in this community, dealing with this humidity, did that without air conditioning. I don't get it. I'm very spoiled, I guess, because this is miserable. But I do appreciate you being here. And I want to say a word of thanks to Randy and Penny. Randy was in and out of the building yesterday several times, checking to make sure things were okay. We lost power yesterday. We still, to this point, don't have power in all of the building. Thus, no air conditioning, no power in the sanctuary. It really doesn't make any sense. My office lights work, but my assistant's office lights don't. Chris's computer has power, but his lights don't work. So there's really no rhyme or reason to it, but we knew that even if we didn't have power in this room, there was enough ambient lighting that we could do. That's what we did after Hurricane Harvey. We met in here, we opened the doors to let more humidity in, and we met here for a few minutes. So we wanted to do this for no other reason than just to gather and to thank God for the way He has protected and guided us. I want to say thanks to our staff. John was here early this morning. Luann was here early this morning, getting ready and making sure that we could have some sort of service this morning. And so I'm very grateful, and I'm grateful again for you making it today. I want us to think, and I was talking with Stephen and Mary Kay. Mary Kay made a point. She said, whether it's the Bible study on Wednesday nights or your sermons or the Sunday school lessons or even other sermons in other churches, it seems like it's all encouraging. And I said, yeah, it's kind of hard this time with what we're going through with the pandemic and now with the aftermath of the hurricane to really talk about how sinful we are and how terrible we all are. I mean, I want to be encouraging. And that was, I think, some of the frustration some of you may have sensed in my sermon last week is how do you continue to be encouraging, saying the same message, but trying to make it fresh, and so today I'm not going to do that. Today I'm going to remind us of something, and somewhat it's what I did last week as well. But I want to encourage us to not give up. I've seen several Facebook posts. If it's not enough that we're dealing with COVID, now you're going to throw a storm at us. It's this pity party, but I don't want us to give up. Because I do believe, just as I said last week, that God has called us for such a time as this. So I want us to look at a verse this morning. And let me just say, we're not going to be here the full time. So if any of you are panicked about how long is this going to go on, I'm going to speak for a few minutes. We're going to sing another song and we'll be dismissed. Because I know this is uncomfortable for us. But I want us to think about something. In Galatians chapter 6, verse 9, I believe we're reminded of how important it is for us to stay faithful, to stay with it. Paul says, let us not become weary in doing good. For at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. I believe that there are people now who may be more willing to listen to the good news of the gospel than maybe ever before. Because it is when our world is turned upside down, it is when we lose the ability to hope in some of the things we place our hope in, and we begin to look for places that we can place our hope and our trust. And that's not unique to us as believers. That's a human thing. We need places that we can hold on to. We need things that we can place our trust in and know that that's secure. And all of this other, I can deal with a little bit of uncertainty as long as I know that I have a home to go to, or that I have friends that I can rely on. You name it. Whatever we place our trust in. And when those things are removed, people begin to look for a source of hope. Where can I find some security? And I believe right now people are looking for that. And I want to encourage us not to grow weary in doing good. Because I realize, and I think you sensed last week that I shared the frustration, I realize we're all going through this together. And so while people outside who are not believers are looking for a place to place their hope and trust, to a degree we're doing the same thing. Our faith has been challenged, and it's being challenged. But may we not grow weary in continuing to do good, continuing to live out a life that points people to Jesus. Because right now I believe they're looking, and I believe that we were created for such a time as this, and I believe that there's a harvest coming. I believe that God can do whatever God chooses to do. And I believe that He will do that through His faithful. That has been His plan from the beginning. I've shared with you before, if I were God, which I am not, I'm not sure I would have entrusted the redemption of humanity to someone like me. But that's been God's plan. He uses His faithful people to bring about His redemption, not through anything we do, but for us pointing to Jesus, who brings grace and salvation. And so that's His plan. And so it is up to us to do our part, to not grow weary in doing good. Not for good's sake, but so that people will see a difference in us and know that there is a difference in us. And give us an opportunity. There's an old cliche, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. I know that's a cliche, but it's very true. We, in some ways, have to earn the right to share our faith with people. And we do that by them seeing that that faith really makes a difference in our lives. That what we profess to be true is really how we live our lives. We've heard it said, we're always a witness, but are we a good witness or a bad witness? And so this is our opportunity to be a good witness. Let us not become weary, he says, of doing good, for at the proper time, we talked about this last week too, God's timing is not our timing, but His timing is perfect. Just as the sun comes up at the proper time, God's timing happens at the right time. We just have to be faithful. So don't grow weary, Paul says, of doing good, because at the proper time, there will be a harvest. We may not see the harvest. We may just be planting seeds, and we need to be okay with that. But we don't grow weary, because we know, we have faith, we trust that there will be a harvest. Right now, our faith is being tested. We can't give up. We need to look for ways to be the church, to live out the good news of the gospel, to be the good news. I shared something similar to this last week, and I had an email, a wonderful email, encouraging email, from some folks who have become a part of our church and haven't been able to come back yet. And he said, I appreciate your message, but I would love for you to give us concrete examples of how. You challenge us to be the church, but maybe we need to talk about how we can be the church. Well, I've been thinking about that this week prior to Hannah. And now that Hannah has come and gone, or at least for the most part, I've been thinking about how can we be the church. Well, I don't know about you, but I've got lots of branches and leaves and debris in my yard. Now, I'm not saying come to my house and help me. That's not where I was going. Although, I'm not going to turn down that. No, that your neighbors probably have similar issues. Maybe just go help. Maybe just go and show them Christ's love in the way that you serve. Some of us, most of us probably in this room, are blessed to have power in our homes right now. Some of us I know I've talked to don't. I am very blessed to have power. I remember after Harvey, we went a few days without it, and I had put our boards on the windows, and then I didn't have the power of my drill to take them down, so we went 4 or 5 days without even being able to open a window. That was miserable. So maybe there are people near you that don't have power that you could help. Maybe take a meal to. Maybe take an ice chest full of cold water to. There are all kinds of ways that we can show Christ's love, even in the midst of a pandemic. I mean, we need to be smart about it. We need to respect distance and all that. I understand that. But don't allow a pandemic to restrict us from being God's hands and feet in the midst of a time of need. When people need to see that the faith that we have really does affect the way we live. We need to look for ways to show Christ's love. Another thing, I haven't heard of a lot of damage yet, but I think we will hear more and more. I've been getting texts from different Baptists around the state and actually around the world, around the United States, starting mid-afternoon yesterday, saying, we're here for you, you just tell us what we can do to help. I don't know if you remember after Harvey, I had a lot of pastors in the Panhandle area that I'm friends with up there that sent 3 truckloads, tractor-trailer truckloads of water and diapers and things, to the point that we had to negotiate with Red Cross to use their warehouse to store some of the stuff. So there are lots of people that are ready to help. And I believe that there will be some things that we need help with. And so be ready to serve in that capacity when that comes. Because I haven't heard of any damages yet, but I think there will be some. Let me just, again, encourage us to not grow weary, but to stay faithful. James Dennison, many of you know that name. He's a longtime pastor in Texas, and now actually has a new job he's titled resident theologian for Texas Baptist. I'm not even sure what that means, but he is a wonderful thinker, a great leader in Baptist life. But he frequently makes the statement, God redeems everything He allows. I believe God is going to be in the midst of the recovery, whatever that looks like. And He will be glorified through His faithful. So don't grow weary and don't give up. Father, find us faithful. Use us to be your hands and feet. Help us to be creative in how we do that. Give us ideas. Help us to see with your eyes needs that are already there. And then give us the courage to step into the gap and fill those needs, not for our glory, but for yours, so that others will see that the love that you have for us and the love that we have for you and for one another really does make a difference in the way that we live. Father, find us faithful. Give us strength not to grow weary. Give us courage to trust that there will be a harvest, whether we see it or not. Give us strength to trust that you will bring that about in accordance to your word. Find us faithful. Find us faithful. In Jesus' name, amen.